So to develop it, let's learn. There are so many ways that we can develop this and become more attuned to our internal bodily sensations. But again, I'm going to just say this with a word of caution. If we are not used to feeling our body, so this in some ways can be like an awakening for people. So this is why, again, it's really important to go back over the first 3 lessons within the series. They're aligned this way for the very purpose that you can feel resourced in any point in time to help you re-regulate in the event that feeling into this body is going to feel like, whoa, way too much to handle, that it does not need to overwhelm the nervous system, that at any point in time you can return and rebuild and hone in and cultivate safety within the system. Work with the system behind the scenes. So you can begin cultivating interoceptive awareness through using your body scans. This really helps with beginning to listen to the subtleties within the body, these subtle cues, these subtle shifts. Because when you do a body scan, you tend to go from one, like whether it's the foot or the ankle, the shin, the calf, the knee, and little by little, you can maybe just feel things kind of let go. Maybe you might feel tension that you didn't even know was there. So it's a really awesome way of beginning this journey inwards. And you can really kind of peel it away to just doing one body part. If you're really not comfortable with this, even just notice how just relaxing your hand can have a huge impact on the rest of your body. So you don't need to go into the whole body initially. Start small if you're not sure, little by little. Breath awareness. So by observing the sensations of your breath as it enters and leaves the body is another beautiful way. And again, if you suffer from anxiety and if focusing on your breath causes agitation, then what's really helpful is to just bring in that sense, the same sense of what it feels like to feel your feet on the ground instead of monitoring your breath coming in and out. And hopefully, the more you practice your box breath, the more you'll begin to be able to tolerate that CO2, which happens a lot in anxiety, where it's really just that tolerance, that lack of tolerance for that creates this apprehension, this sense of apprehension within the body. We can mindfully eat, just slowing down, chewing more slowly, really tasting the food, the smell, the texture, the temperature, really slowing it down, smaller pieces, and taking time to really savor the food, and just really taking note of, like when you're full, like when you're full, you're full, or when you're hungry, you're hungry. So we can also cultivate it through emotional awareness. So as we've already highlighted, that they can manifest as bodily sensations. And sometimes, in truth, if we're really feeling our emotions, we're feeling them through the body. And we can try to identify the sensations associated with them. And a great place to start is like with stress, because it might lead to muscle tension. I remember a client who was in my immersion program, and all she knew was that, she felt how she felt, there was a trigger, and then something happened. And she had no sense of connecting what happened in between. So it was really a breakdown of simply asking. And then I remember just asking her the simple question, but how did you know you lost it? Or how did you know? And then she'd go, well, I felt a tightness in here. And then she'd point, and I go, that's your gateway in. Place a hand on that spot. What was that tightness telling you? What was that moment of clench, of gripping that you felt around your heart or in the center of your chest? And then she began to really like go, oh, so this is what feeling the body is about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's a beautiful thing. And what's really nice is to even start with the with the lighter kind of emotions, the ones that don't come with such a huge charge, like joy, like envisioning or visualizing seeing somebody smile back at you with warmth and love, and beginning to feel sensations in that way. So that there's always this like dual awareness of like, okay, it's neither good or bad. Emotions are just emotions. And just because stuff that might feel activating arise doesn't mean that everything else disappears. So we can balance like moving towards something that feels activating whilst moving back towards that felt sense of inner peace, groundedness, and whatever else really you feel like nourishes you. Obviously, we can work through it with yoga and Tai Chi for the simple reason that they both involve deliberate movements, as I would like to sometimes say, like mindful movements that encourage awareness of the body. Some yoga classes do. Some are very fast and you're zipping through it, and there's very little awareness. You might feel a lot of stuff, but you're kind of ignoring it and you're just moving on to the next pose and the next pose and the next pose. But there certainly are some yoga practices that will slow things down and allow you to really kind of integrate what may be arising for you within the body. And again, remember, not every yoga class needs to be a deep search. That go in and have some fun sometimes too. So always remember that balance as well, that we don't always need to go on a deep dive with everything, that it's enough to feel it, to touch it, to let it know that you're listening to it while still getting on with the rest of the practice. And then maybe later on in the day, you can revisit it through, your somatic journaling and revisit it in that way. Okay. Obviously, then, of course, vagus nerve stimulation is going to be huge. So the diaphragmatic breathing, the humming, stimulating the vagus nerve, and it just has such a huge role in our interoceptive awareness. So all in all, it's just such a key to so much with regards to our well-being as a whole. Cultivating sensory awareness. So the vagus nerve is close to the surface of your face. It's around your eyes, your neck, your ear. Okay, so we have the tragus. So we can just gently rub that spot there. We can gently move hands. So we can stimulate the very vagus nerve in these very simple ways around the mouth, down the throat, even beneath the collarbones. Compassion is another way. You may not believe it, but there's a psychologist who's done a massive amount of research with regards to compassion and vagal tone. MacDonald, her first name is escaping me right now, but compassionate practices build vagal tone as well. And we can also build our interoceptive awareness through our reflective somatic journaling. So this is where you're taking your journaling to a different level. This is where you're not just sticking with your thoughts and writing them within your journal. I know there's many different types of journaling, but for this one in particular, the reflective somatic journaling, this is again where you can, even if you're having trouble connecting with the body, you can always draw an image of your body on the page and just start marking out little areas of circles or spiky things or whatever you feel would best describe what sensations you're feeling in the body. Sometimes it's nice to have the space of putting it on paper rather than feeling like it's stuck inside you, and that you can then create some space in trying to learn about it and what it likes and what it's really trying to tell us, and how we can learn to feel it in that safe way too. It's also a great way of kind of highlighting patterns that may be arising. And in general, when there is a pattern associated with something, so something that's really sticky, things don't generally just disappear after one movement or after one kind of moment of like integration. Sometimes it'll take a couple, but it just softens over time. It's over time, it just gets a little softer, a little less, doesn't show up as often, doesn't show up as long. But if there is something that's really, really sticky, generally speaking, there's some kind of limiting core belief attached to it. So this is a great way of kind of highlighting those things as well. So there is the availability to actually take an interoceptive accuracy questionnaire. And I have attached one in the next lecture. There are different types of questionnaires out there that can help like really bring in this sense of awareness. And what I'm actually going to do is share one with you that I share with my immersion students. So these are students who would like a little deeper TLC, a little extra care, a little more attention, and a little more guidance with all of this. So I'm going to send you that so that you can kind of do your own little quiz. And remember, it's not a diagnosis. It's really just, again, like just kind of awakening your awareness or your lack of awareness in relation to your quality of interoception and how well you can listen to the body and decipher its signals. And then, of course, we have increasing our heart rate variability. Okay, high heart rate variability is equal to high resilience. Okay, it sounds like it should be the opposite, but heart rate variability is really just about the beat to beat of the heart, the beat to breath, and there should be variability. Okay, if there's not variability, it kind of basically means that your window of tolerance is really narrow and that you're kind of flatlining with regards to resilience. That pretty much you feel overwhelmed pretty much a lot of the time, and that maybe you've just had too much too fast too soon happen. You're in the domain of chronic stress or possibly trauma stress. And by deliberately increasing our heart rate variability, it increases our ability to regulate our nervous system, increase stress resilience, and improve that interoceptive awareness as well. So up here, I've put my favorite thing of all. This is like healing tones, building in like a tone of ease within the body. Opens the gateway to feel safe to feel. When we can truly access what it feels like to be at ease within our own body, then we can be so receptive to anything from a healing perspective. And when we can cultivate this through something like, again, the body scan was an example, but sometimes what we need is something a little slower. And that would be a progressive muscle relaxation. And we've gone through this as well. So that intentional tensing and then releasing, tensing and then releasing. Because sometimes we don't even know what ease feels like until we really like contract the body. And then like maybe there's just that little bit of letting go. And what the tone of ease really opens the gateway to is true healing. Is true healing, because if the nervous system isn't within that space of receptivity, of feeling safe and connected, it's very, very difficult for recovery, resilience, or personal development to really take a foothold. And if we're in doing this, we might as well be in it with the intention of creating transformation, not just getting stuck with resilience. And that's the difference between just doing what we need to do for the sake of doing it versus very intelligently building resilience like you are learning through here. Then we have the sensory discrimination with regards to our tasks. So we can engage in exercises that challenge your ability to discriminate between different sensory inputs, such as distinguishing between various tactile sensations, temperatures, or textures. So you've probably all heard about Wim Hof. Wim Hof and his like the cold immersions, There's a gentle way of doing that with your shower, like so you can start with a warm shower, slowly lower the temperature, and then be in it like a real ice cold shower for about a minute. All of that kind of stuff helps to really build in this, again, this bank of like resilience where we can feel and definitely feel like hot, cold, warming, and really feel the different grades. Okay, my left foot is warmer than my right. It happens to me a lot. So all of that is going to start really building in and honing in on that interoceptive awareness that we really need to inform our neuroception to be able to get a true handle on our ability to self-regulate. And the last part is interpersonal communication. So when we engage in conversations with others about our emotions, our physical sensations, sharing our experiences and listening to theirs can really provide valuable insights and feedback. So this is where we find those people and we start exploring, actually, truly and honestly, telling them how we feel. And then notice what happens. And notice when you get tight and clam up, like you're like going, oh my God, maybe that wasn't the right time or whatever. And it's like, always remember, the most important thing is that you can feel held by yourself in those moments, even when other people can't. Yes, it'll be disappointing, but know that you can still look after yourself. So it's a really beautiful thing. And in doing so, you start attracting other people into your life. And then you'll start having people kind of begin to ask you questions about stuff that they're struggling with. And it's just amazing how this ripple effect begins, where we can feel like we're in this state of connection rather than protection and defensiveness. It really becomes a beautiful state of being.